Welcome back to another edition of the MC65 podcast. Today, my guest is Peter Rising, Senior Partner Solution Architect at Microsoft, focused on security, compliance, and identity across Microsoft UK partner ecosystem. Peter works with some of Microsoft's most strategic partners, helping organizations securely adopt AI technologies like Microsoft Copilot through, through strong governance, security, compliance, and zero trust principles. He also one of the most recognized voices in the Microsoft strategic partner program. I think everyone knows him, especially for Microsoft Purview and his awesome YouTube channel. For them, they don't know it; they have to look at it. I learned a lot there. Peter's also passionate about advocates for women in tech, mental health awareness, well-being, and Tourette syndrome awareness in a world where AI is moving faster than most organizations can cover it. Peter experience has never been more relevant. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mirko. It's very, very kind of you to invite me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your journey into technology.
Ooh, wow. Yes. Well, how long have you got? So, I began my tech career in the mid 90s after a few years of working in jobs with no real prospects or direction. I was working for a legal firm where technology was just starting to come in, and an IT manager was hired. And she told me that she needed some help. Would I like to learn this? And I said, yes, absolutely, because I had no other idea what to do with my career. So I thought I might as well learn this. And wow, I really enjoyed it. Discovered I was reasonably good at it, and that's where it all started. I started doing IT support, just supporting the users with their PCs as they started getting them, and printer problems and that sort of stuff. And then throughout the years, got a bit more knowledge and started working for IT solutions providers or being IT manager in a company, mainly manufacturing companies. And then in more recent times, over the past 10 or so years, I've worked for a variety of Microsoft partners as a consultant, specializing in Microsoft technologies, doing hybrid migrations to Exchange Online, and then getting into Teams and SharePoint, and then eventually security was where I settled and decided was going to be my specialist subject. And I've managed to work for some really good partners over the years, and some very interesting customers and some good roles as a consultant, a senior consultant, a principal consultant, and managing teams. And now, most recently, 5 months ago, I had the opportunity to join Microsoft, which was for me a dream opportunity. And I've loved every minute that I've been with Microsoft since joining, and I'm working with partners all over the UK and Ireland to help them build out their security roadmaps and support them at events and that sort of thing. So that's a very brief whistle stop tour of my career from the mid 1990s to today.
Yeah. So, can you a little bit, your 5 months at Microsoft, can you a little bit explain what does a senior partner solution architect do at Microsoft?
Oh, it's lots of great things. I mean, we evangelize the Microsoft security, compliance, and identity technologies, but not just that. Obviously, things like Copilot and Agent 365 as well. We tell stories around how we secure and govern those things, but it involves working with Microsoft's in the UK and Ireland managed partners, so partners that are specifically managed by Microsoft
Good.
and doing good things together, helping them to build out offerings that they can take to their customers. We can help the partners with supporting them on strategic deal activations. So if they want to land a particular deal with a big customer, we can go and help support them on that. I support our partners at their events as well. So I'll go to events and speak alongside them and do talks and keynotes and that sort of thing. So, but it's all about proving and showing what all the great things with Microsoft E7 now, and Agent 365 in particular can do, telling good stories and showing the partners how they can authorize these, help support their customers with it, and hopefully get some value back from those stories as well. Because hey, we want people to be using these great products.
Yeah, especially in security, a lot of companies I met, they have this perspective. Oh, we pay for the tools, so Microsoft handle the security for us. So, what will you say? What is wrong on this mindset?
What is wrong with this mindset? Well, it's true that Microsoft provides the platform and the solutions, but it's not up to Microsoft to configure that for the end users. So this is where partners can come in and work with their customers to apply their specialist knowledge to help those customers deploy things correctly and good security and protection and governance across Purview, across Defender and Entra. There's a shared responsibility model within a lot of what Microsoft do with their products. There are things that Microsoft provide. They provide the platform, the products, but the actual configuration and the settings, recommended configurations, that's down to the customer with working with good partners, hopefully Microsoft partners to help them do the right things.
Mm. And what did you think we have here? The age of AI. I think governance, security become more, yeah, in focus.
Mm.
Uh, wh- uh, why now and not before? And how did AI change the security conversations?
Yeah, AI has changed it massively. It really has. The best example I can give in terms of a particular Microsoft product is Purview, because Purview's been around for a long time, a good many years now, but it's never been as well adopted or well understood as Defender or Entra, for example. Customers have always understood why they've needed strong identities in place and why they have to protect their endpoint devices. But the compliance piece the Purview provides, protecting data, that has always been a little bit more niche, not as well understood. But now, with AI being here, with tools like Copilot and things like Agent 365 coming into play as well, these things can get a hold of data. They use data as their lifeblood, their fuel. They consume it at vast quantities, and therefore that data has to be properly protected and governed. So I've seen a massive shift in the last 1 or 2 years since we've been working a lot more with AI, of customers coming to Microsoft and to Microsoft partners saying, we get it. We need to protect our data now. We need to understand our data if we want to use AI safely and Agent 365 sort of technology safely as well. So they now understand that they need to do this. They need to do their homework if they want to play with these shiny new toys. They've got some work to do. And it's really nice to see. It's really refreshing to see it's finally clicking in customers' minds. Like, this is what Purview can do for us.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a great tool, and it's so, yeah, growing over the last years. It's very interesting. Um,
Yeah.
ab- Another topic you are, say, famous for is yeah, zero trust principles.
Mm.
Um, what is the story or the meaning behind the marketing buzzword zero trust? What does it really mean, especially from Microsoft side?
Well, zero trust has three main principles that are attached to it, and that is verify explicitly. So that ties into uh, things like multi-factor authentication and ensuring that you authenticate in a safe and two-factor methodology. So that is crucial. That's one of the three principles. The other is to use the principle of least privilege. So only use the permissions that you actually need. at any given time. Don't have global admins or other admin roles assigned permanently. Use things like privileged information management to have these roles activated on a just-in-time basis. And the other principle, the third and final one, is assume breach. Always assume breach,
Mhm.
because it's usually a case of when, not if, you will be breached in any organization. And many companies make the mistake of thinking, well, especially in the SMB market, that oh, I'm too small. Why would anyone attack me? And that's completely inaccurate. The attackers, the bad guys, are they don't discriminate about who they think they can make money from by putting nasty stuff in there that makes you have to pay a ransom, for example. So, zero trust is a great framework to adopt when you are putting all of your content out there in the cloud, specifically in the Microsoft 365 and Azure clouds that are out there, because in the old days, when everything was on premises, we had firewalls wrapped around that, and there were things we can apply in the cloud, things like conditional access and all of the sorts of great tools across Purview and Entra and Defender. But it's a bit it's a different methodology to put protection around what's out there in the cloud than it was on premises, and for a long time, people didn't quite get that. And zero trust is a really good way to help people protect themselves, along with the principles of defense in depth as well, which is something I'm very passionate about also.
And what can be you say some companies don't think about the topic zero trust, but how can they start their journey into zero
Mm.
trust?
I think they have to open their eyes a little bit. A lot of organizations that you talk to still have a little bit of a head in the sand mentality towards it. I was speaking to a customer just a few weeks ago who actually he said something that horrified me. He said, "Ignorance is bliss," and I thought, "No, absolutely not. You need to know that what is threatening your data and your organization and your reputation." So the first step is understanding and awareness. They need to appreciate that there's something that they have to do to protect their intellectual property, because once it's easy to think that won't happen to me, but when it does, then they've got to do something about it. And quite often, they end up. A lot of companies are now paying ransoms because they need to get their data back. There's no guarantee that the bad guys will give it to them, but it's the only way they're going to get it in a lot of cases, especially if they don't have any form of backup and contingencies in place. So awareness, taking steps, and defending in depth as well, protecting all of your attack surfaces and being mindful that the attackers will always take the path of least resistance. So defense in depth, and defense in depth again.
I think a lot of companies think when they may start with zero trust or think about cybersecurity, they say it's an IT thing from the IT department. Um,
Mm.
how will you help the IT or your partners to understand? Yeah, I will say that's yeah, it become everybody's problem, security.
Mm. Very much so, yeah. And you're right, it is an everyone problem. And I prefer to see it in more positive terms, actually. I like to think of it as an everyone opportunity rather than a problem. I mean, it is a problem, right? But there are opportunities there to educate everyone in an organization, from the CEO to people on warehouse factory floors, picking things with laser guns from warehouses and shipping product. Everyone needs to have an appreciation of keeping themselves safe and protecting themselves from attacks. So, and our partners here at Microsoft, we have some amazing partners in the ecosystem who can help our customers with those stories to build out roadmaps and migration paths and that sort of thing to get the customers from where they are now to their desired end state, and in a state which is going to help them to sleep better at night, because there are some scary things that can happen to them before they go on these journeys at times. Um, so working with the customers, these partners can guide them on not only the technology, but also the project management and the adoption and change principles as well. And I can't ever understate how important things like that are. Adoption and change management in any organization when you're doing a big rollout of something like this is crucial, because at the end of the day, the users need to understand what is happening, when it's happening, why it's happening, what the impact on their jobs will be, and how they can use it. So, and if you don't have these things in mind, then it's setting yourself up for failure before you even start. So, massive opportunity, I think, to do things secure and in the right way.
Mm. I think there was a quote. It's not 100% perfect, but as someone says, cybersecurity expensive. No, cybersecurity is more expensive. I think something like this.
Yeah, yeah, and what's more expensive though, putting good cybersecurity in place, or recovering from a, a nasty attack that you haven't prepared for? And there are many statistics out there in terms of the average cost of recovering from a cyber attack. My brain, which doesn't process numbers very well, can't remember exact figures, but there are some good statistics out there at the cost and the damage it causes organizations who don't prepare themselves for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's not only the financial costs, it's also the yeah, I say the customer, they believing in the company,
Mm,
they trust. And I think that's also, you cannot say really money, how risky this is. But then,
mm.
yeah, there's one thing. Yeah, I think your favorite tool, it's Microsoft Purview. Um, for listener they're unfamiliar with Purview, how would you explain it in simple terms, and which role plays it in zero trust?
Oh, wow. Okay, so if you think of, before I answer fully, if you think of Microsoft 365 in terms of security, compliance, and identity, I always describe it as security equals the Defender products,
Mm,
identity equals the Entra products, and
mhm,
compliance equals the Purview products. And compliance ties in very much to the data that organizations have and how they protect it and how they govern it and how they apply lifecycle management principles to it. So, Purview is all about data, and there are three core features, in my view,
yeah,
within Microsoft Purview that everyone should, if you're doing nothing else with Purview, then these are the things you should be doing. Number one is sensitivity labels, to apply label classification to documents and other things, SharePoint sites and teams and whatnot, and encryption also, content marking, that sort of
mhm,
thing, and different levels of protection. So the document is classified, it's labeled, and for example, in the world of Copilot, if you ask Copilot to look at one of these documents, and it has a very, very sensitive, confidential label on it, Copilot will know to respect that and can't accidentally do things it shouldn't be doing with that document. So that's number one, the sensitivity labels. The second one is DLP, data loss prevention, which helps prevent uh, data, information, files, emails being accidentally leaked outside the organization inadvertently. And that ties to the sort of sensitive information that is contained in that data, things like credit card information or personal information, medical, financial, that sort of thing. And there are many, many standards baked into and compliance regulations baked into Purview that DLP can link to. Somebody enters a credit card number in an email or a document that should match a DLP policy that recognizes that and gives the user a tip to say, well, depending how restrictive the policy is, it'll
mm.
say, oh, you might not want to do this. Are you sure? Or depending on the level of risk that the organization is willing to accept or not, you can totally block that. It'll say, sorry, you can't even send this email because it has this data in it. And then finally, the last core feature that I would describe is data lifecycle management, which
Mhm.
comes down to retention, how
Mm,
long you keep the data in your organization. And this is a big uh, area of lack of education for many organizations. They don't really know how long they should be keeping the data. Many organizations will make the biggest mistake possible and say, well, just to be safe, we'll retain everything forever, which is completely the opposite approach that they need to do. They need to be only retaining data for as long as they are required to do so, depending on the particular regulations that apply to them as an organization or a country or European Union, GDPR, that sort of thing, HIPAA in the United States. So it's these are the three things that if you do nothing else, do these. But then there's wider features which help you discover data in investigations and legal cases like eDiscovery. There are strong auditing capabilities. There are features like insider risk management to detect uh, theft from departing users, as an example, communication compliance to detect inappropriate behavior in the workplace, threatening behavior, inappropriate language or harassment, that sort of thing.
mm,
Purview has so much in it that people really don't understand that it can do so much, and it's just getting better and better and all the time. And it's so relevant right now because of that AI landscape that we have in front of us right now.
mm. Yeah, before we jump in the future or today, what or how have you seen peer review has evolved over the last few years?
Oh, massively. I mean, I remember the first time that I became aware of what Purview would become and how it would develop. With the first thing I used was sensitivity labels, and I think if from memory, I think we were talking about the late 20 teens, for lack of a better word. Maybe it's around 2016, 2017 was when I first became aware of s- what we now call sensitivity labels, which was broadly known at that time as Azure Information Protection. And the term purview was a collective place for all of these things to live. Didn't exist at that point. It was just this is Azure Information Protection where you can apply these labels. DLP was around still, but that lived in Microsoft Exchange at the
Mm,
time. So if I think back to those times where the retention also lived in Exchange, DLP lived in Exchange, labeling was in Azure, this was the real beginning of what Purview would become. And over the years, more has been added, more capabilities. eDiscovery has become richer and more capable. The Azure side of what Purview can do has developed massively and now is unified in a single Purview uh, compliance center or admin center. So the change is very measurable. It's very, very much night and day. If I think about those times to where it is now, so much has been improved and introduced.
mm. Is there in peer review one capability that, yeah, you see currently most underrated?
Um, yes, one or two, I would say. I would say, despite the awareness of it increasing in the last couple of years, I still do think that more and more organizations do need to be thinking about using insider risk management because it is very, very powerful and a very, very good way of protecting yourself against malicious or unwitting insider risks. I do also think that although it is a bit more niche, the use cases for it, I think e-discovery is very, very misunderstood and not very well known or appreciated. There's so much it can do for, I mean, no organization wants to have to do these investigations legally or internally, or but they're necessary, and it's a very powerful tool which can surface a lot of information and filter it and redact it and export it and do all sorts of stuff with that data that is sadly required in the world that we work in. So I would say those are very much underappreciated, and one of the emerging ones would be probably data catalog. Data mapping is very powerful. Not much use of that that I've seen in the wild so far. Uh, and yeah, those would be my my examples.
Yeah, I think it also can play a huge role in ChatGPT.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
so
definitely.
I think that's it's really it's a really cool tool. At first I started for years in data science and I was not so happy,
Mm,
but yeah, I started. It's such a cool thing. So we have I think a topic what's underrated and especially Purview can help is the data classification. Um,
mm,
why does it become more important than yeah, since we have or when companies will start with deploying AI?
mm. Oh, because with AI, if you don't have those things in place, imagine just how much sensitive information could be leaked out there. I mean, once if Copilot is able to access things based on the permissions that you put in place across Entra, Defender, and Purview. So if those are not set up correctly, then it can potentially share content outside the organization, and once that's done, it's out there. There's no bringing it back. The toothpaste has left the tube, as the saying goes, and you can't shove it back inside. So it's absolutely crucial to have that uh, taxonomy and classify things correctly and uh, use those labels, use DLP, and ensure that you have good visibility of it through activity explorers and DSPM, data security posture management, that is, which is a great, fairly recent feature within Purview. I mean, it's probably been around a good couple of years now, at least, and has changed so much in that time, but so powerful.
Mm,
So I think it's massively, massively important. And thankfully, most organizations are starting to understand this, that they need to do these things to protect themselves in this world of AI.
mm. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I think yeah, that's uh critical to all. And I also see a lot of companies they say, "Oh, we have well, I don't know, a SharePoint admin center, and
Mm,
we feel safe." But yeah, Pure will give you a really cool overview, especially the data map. I think it's such a cool feature. Um,
it is.
let's jump a little bit in Copilot AI and governance. So
Mm,
yeah, I think actually everyone's like to try out Copilot.
yeah.
Um, why should they also care about governance before they start?
Well, similar reasons. I mean, Copilot can uh, only do with what it can access, what it's how well that data is governed. So if that data is not appropriately governed, and Copilot Surf is able to see it and interrogate it and share it, most importantly, then that is a risk. That is definitely something that is a risky situation for any organization and should be addressed. So the penalties for uh, not complying with regulations in different regions of the world can be very, very severe, and organizations do need to take note of that. Fines and in some cases even prison sentences, depending on who is deemed responsible for that situation. So chief information security officers or chief information officers, they definitely have to be very mindful of these sort of things. Um, Copilot is so powerful. AI in general is so powerful, and the governance needs to be very, very diligently considered in order to avoid having these sort of situations where what it can access has those proper guardrails and controls and is very carefully measured against these frameworks that are out there.
Yeah, I think we have, especially when we talking about oversharing or data oversharing, there are
Mm.
two parties out there. The
Mhm.
one say oversharing is a Copilot problem, and the other say it's a data governance problem. What would you say?
um, I would say that in an ideal world, it should be considered as as a data, I don't like the word problem, but a data opportunity is the way I would describe it. And that for me is where you should always start, because the data itself is where you can apply the controls. Copilot is only as powerful as the data it's able to access and share. So if the data is appropriately controlled and governed and permissioned and protected, then Copilot is less of a risk than if it were not. So always think of protecting things in depth, defense in depth. Copilot itself has very little influence of those sort of protection settings. Agents are a bit different. I mean, Agent 365, you can do a lot within the Agent 365 registry of agents in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. There are lots of controls you can put in place there, which are complemented by Purview and Entra as an example. But Copilot, I think you have to be very, very careful and make sure the data is addressed first.
Mm. And what think you, how can organizations discover oversharing before they deploying AI copilots?
Yeah, I mean, one thing they can do is they can look at the SharePoint advanced management capabilities. That's one thing that they can start with, which can often be very easily overlooked. But they should also be looking into understanding where their data is. Is it on premises? Is it in the cloud? Is it a mixture of both? Um, Depending where it is, certain apps, Shadow IT, may or may not be able to access that data. So you have to think about things like Defender for Cloud apps, as an example, to control which of those apps are sanctioned or otherwise, which apps users can use to access and use that data. So it's massively important. It really is, and uh, I come back to this motto, this phrase of defense in depth, and that's a really important thing to think of alongside zero trust. It's it's all well and good to have labels configured well in Purview or DLP policies configured, but if your identity is not appropriately protected, then you're wasting your time really, because your front door is wide open. So defending in depth is the biggest opportunity that organizations have to f- diligently protect themselves as best as possible.
Yeah, I see. We have labeled now everything with AI. Also, you can buy a monitor that's labeled AI, but especially in enterprise software, there it's
Mm,
I see that's what I found a little bit crazy. It's they call it responsible AI tool.
mm,
So what that does responsible AI mean, and is it really a tool that that's responsible AI, or it's more with the humans or the company culture?
mm. It's a team thing. It's a team sport, as the saying is often applied. I mean, ultimately, I think it still comes down to the responsibility is with the organization protecting their data and configuring that correctly. However, I would also think that it's the responsibility ethically and legally and morally of the AI providers to make sure that their platforms are appropriately configured as well. So there's a duty of care on their part. And the humans are probably the weakest element in the equation because they are the most prone to mistakes, human error. So this is where training and development, education of those humans and good change control processes and adoption processes are key. So I would think of these things as all complementing to the whole story. Defending in depth, thinking about the people, thinking about the platform, and thinking about the data. Don't think of any one of those things individually, because you're setting yourself up for failure. Consider all of those things and defend in depth.
Mm, yeah, I think, yeah, that's really, yeah, that's really. interesting and important topic. And yeah, I think
Mm,
there it's I don't know how I should describe it. I think often yeah we have this IT problem. It's an IT topic, but yeah, I think
mm.
that's cool. But um, when 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 we say well, the company they will start with the AI deployment, what policies should exist?
The first thing I would say is, and apologies as my Tourette syndrome seems to be particularly bad today, and but I'm very open about that. So if you're noticing my head twitching, that's what it is. But AI policies to start off with, I would say that definitely think about the oversharing as the first thing because it's so it's almost impossible once something is being leaked out there to reclaim that. It's practically impossible. So think about what the AI is capable of doing, what it can and can't do, what it can and can't share, because reputational damage is something that companies definitely want to avoid because they'll have plenty of competitors out there who are doing things in the right way and investing time and people and energy and money into responsible and diligent AI rollouts. So if you're not preventing that accidental exposure and accidental sharing of information from the get go, I think these are the sort of policies you need in place from day one. And I would say DLP is probably the most important part of that story because that's going to be what prevents things from being leaked out, like the credit card information, sensitive data, and um, you need a good plan. You need a rollout plan. You need champions groups who can be part of proof of concept or pilot phases. Don't just roll it all out. Think of good people in the organization or good teams in the organization who can work with you on these pilot groups and do it properly, ask the right questions, people who can evangelize it to other groups within the organization, and have some people come along as well who will be challenging as well. There's nothing better than having people who ask difficult questions in these processes because you need to consider these things because if you launch these initiatives without considering it, then they'll be the first people to criticize on day one when something isn't right. They'll say, "Well, this isn't good. This has happened," or "The old way of working, this never happened." So you need these people on your side rather than working against you.
I think when we especially think in AI, there are yeah people they say we have to balance between innovation and risk. But did you see that GRC, as governance risk compliance, can be also a chance for innovation?
Oh, I do very much so. Yeah, I think there's always the opportunity to to find ways to innovate. I mean, and the Microsoft platforms provide really, really good ways of doing that, especially in the world of agents that we're seeing now. We are seeing all sorts of really, really good use cases for agents, custom built agents, and built in either in Copilot itself or in Copilot Studio, or the really clever people who way cleverer than I could could be at this stage because I haven't learned anything that clever yet. Is people who can build the agents within Foundry with all that great Fabric stuff. So and there's some great examples that are appearing already in the short time since agents have been out there. Workflows, Power Automate. I mean, that's been around a good few years as well. And automation um, to augment human effort. It's been going on for a good few years in those terms, but the agentic world that we're now seeing come into play is just making the ability to for those very clever people who innovate and invent to do some amazing things, some amazing use cases, and take what Microsoft have provided and put their stamp on it and build something really special. So it's really exciting to see how people take these products and solutions that Microsoft have built, and just take them a step further and build some really clever things that are going to be able to help people with their day-to-day jobs and lives.
Mm, yeah, you say agentic AI, and I think, well, it's a hot new topic. But
Yeah.
there is there from security view, is there a massive change to normal AI when we start with agentic AI?
Not as much as you would think, because for agents in Microsoft platform in Agent 365, th- there's no new security tools to do anything special with them. They are all protectable and governable by the same things that we've been familiar with to protect humans and human identities over the years. So agents can have their own identities, and these can be controlled and protected by the principles within Entra and within Purview. So that's the really good thing about Agent 365. I mean, there are some controls that you can see within the agent registry, in terms of who can install the agents, who can do various things with them, who can see them and work with them, and et cetera, et cetera. But the real wider security features are all in Purview and Entra, and it's very, very, very easy to apply. To be honest, it's just as easy as it is to do it from a human perspective.
Yeah, I found it really funny as, yeah, I think it's Copilot come out or a little bit later. In Entra, it looks more than an human, than an application. So that's,
Yeah.
what I found really, really funny. So, um, what did you think in the future? How will security operations change over the next, I don't know, 5 years is a little bit long,
Mm, that's
but,
a it's a really interesting question, and it's always hard to predict, right? But the the thing that I probably expect to become more relevant more quickly than people expect is possibly quantum computing. I think we need to start getting ready for how we apply new security principles to that version of computing once it starts kicking in and becoming more mainstream. So I don't think we need to panic just yet. Certainly not in the next 2 to 3 years, but maybe once we're getting to 5 years and start heading towards 7 and 10 years, I think we need to be ready for that next wave of innovation in the world of computing. Um, how AI will evolve is going to be interesting to see, because what we're dealing with at the moment is generative AI. Whether AI evolves beyond that uh, is going to be interesting to see. I think inevitably it will, if it hasn't already, because what we're seeing released to the mainstream world right now is has probably been around for 5+ more years already in testing and development and proof of concept groups. So we're probably always a good 5 years behind what's actually capable. At least I would guesstimate. So those would be my answers. I would think quantum computing, definitely need to keep an eye on that. And whatever the next version of AI is, whether that has the ability to become self-aware, maybe I'm getting too much into movie territory there, but hey, we can't rule it out. Some people on podcasts think that that's already happened. So
uh,
who knows? Time will tell.
yeah. That's one product that I have a question, and it's the Microsoft Security Copilot. Did you think uh, the Microsoft Security Copilot will in future handle all security stuff, or is there any place for humans in security?
I think certainly in the short term, the humans in the equation are not going anywhere anytime soon. Um, you can't rule that out completely, but I think as time evolves over the next few years, I think there's always going to be things for humans to do. But I think the things that they're doing will change. It will enable them to do more things and make decisions that AI is not making. or is not capable of making, because uh, autonomous AI is very much on the agenda. I think, but I think we're a good way off that yet. I think for the here and now and the next few years, I think analysts, security analysts, don't have too much to worry about. But I think on the longer term, they will have to adapt slightly in terms of what their day-to-day roles are. But I think it's going to be a good thing, because I think it's going to free them up to do more innovative and interesting things. But can we predict 100%? No, but I I'm a positive person for the most part, and I do see that there'll be opportunities there for growth in those areas.
Mm. So I like also ask a little bit about your you do also so great tech stuff, but you are also doing all this great community stuff. You have this YouTube channel. You helping women in tech. You are also work for mental health and Tourette awareness. So
Yep.
so this is there something you say? Okay, um, AI will help on also on these topics in the future.
I think possibly, yeah, very much so. I mean, I think potentially, I mean, AI has access to vast sources of knowledge that it can access very, very quickly. So, in terms of education, hopefully it can help there to help people access information on a lot of these subjects a lot more quickly. I think, again, the human element is going to continue to be the most important part of the conversation. It's an interesting question. I've not ever really been asked about those topics from the AI perspective before, so it is a really cool question. Um, I mean, women in tech is particularly important passion for me, because you might remember from my how I got started in IT in the 90s. I was recruited by a woman, which in in those times was not necessarily too unusual, but it was, I mean, uh, when you see how much work we have still today, a quarter of the way through the 21st century, in order for there to be true equality for women across tech and beyond, then it's hard to imagine what life was, what a working in tech was like back then for the individual that recruited me. So I was blown away at what a trailblazer she was, and always wanted to pay that back, which is why I've always tried to help women in the tech industry and call out incorrect behavior when I see it, because it still does happen, and it's uh, and there's quite often no malice intended from the males who are getting these things wrong. Um, Broadly speaking, it's what you call an unconscious bias taking place, but that needs to be an education piece there, to not assume that a woman is not technical. And this happens a lot, where uh, a woman in tech will be at an event or a conference or something, and they'll have a male sales colleague with them, and they're having a conversation with a customer or whoever, and the and the customer will look at the man and ask the man the technical question, and he doesn't know. He's the salesperson. So he says, "Oh, I must refer to you to my technical colleague here, who is the female person in front of you." So, and there's a lot of education and bias, unconscious bias work to be done in that space.
Yeah.
Similarly, a lot of education to be done for a number of mental health awareness causes and neurodiversity causes. I've been through a mental health journey myself, where it'd be a whole nother podcast to go through the whole thing, but I'm passionate about awareness on that topic and taking some of the stigma away of talking about such topics. Neurodiversity as well. I mean, particularly for me is Tourette syndrome, which it's fairly obvious to anyone watching this today that I have tics and twitches, and they come and go depending on certain environmental criteria. It's usually how excited I am about something or passionate about something, it kicks in a bit more, or when I'm nervous about something. So, um, and I'm very, very happy and thrilled to be talking to you on this podcast today, Mirko. So it's probably happening a bit more because I'm passionate and uh, and it's harder to control these ticks. So, but there's a lot of awareness gaps across a lot of these things. So I'm really, really passionate about educating people on what these things are, and uh, uh, and this is why I'm very open about all of these things that affect me, because I don't want people to be afraid to ask questions. Um, or worry that I would be sensitive about it. I mean, some people may or may not be, but for me, I'll happily talk about anything, as openly and honestly as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love also the way Microsoft do all this, yeah, women in tech stuff. I
Yeah.
think that's especially good how to do it because a lot of company or programs frame it more than, yeah, it's yeah, it's a little bit unfair, but they 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 frame it a little bit. It's a disability. You are a woman uh, style, and I think Microsoft has had that is nice. Yeah, make women show up in all these conferences and so on, and it's not with this. I don't know. I can say, but it often feels with like bad touch. So that's really I love how Microsoft do it.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, I see you have also another passion, I would say, with women in tech and your YouTube channel and your
yeah.
community contribution. It's I will say mentoring or teaching. Um, what have you learned from I say from this teaching others?
So much because, I really love comparing the me of today to where I was when I was the age of usually the sort of age of the people that I mentor, which is usually quite young people at the start of their careers. Uh, and it's it makes me reflect and realize just how much I've learned, how much privilege and opportunity that I've had. But equally, more important than any of that is what I learned back from the mentees, because I learned so much. There's a term called reverse mentoring, and that naturally and organically happens in most mentoring relationships, I think, because the younger generation that I talk with, they have different perspective on life. I mean, they've grown up in a world of social media and always on technology. I mean, when I was a young boy, we only had 3 TV channels, and you couldn't watch what you wanted when you wanted. You had to watch what was on. So things have changed, and they've grown up with this instant access to things, and I think it's made them more confident to ask for things and set boundaries a bit better than my generation did. So there's some healthy habits that I think they've got. So yeah, it's been deeply rewarding, and the different kind of mentorship relationships you can have. I've mentored people of all sorts of different ages as well, because you're never too old to learn. I mean, I still look for mentors, and I'm going to be 54 this year, so I'm always wanting to learn new things. Um, and it's just such a great experience, and I encourage anyone to look into doing it because you get so much out of a mentor-mentee relationship. There's always something to learn.
Okay, then let's jump in the quick fire round. So I
Okay.
say some short questions, and you can say what comes in your mind. So
Okay.
coffee, tea, or energy when red teaming?
Coffee.
Teams or Outlook?
Teams.
Your Microsoft favorite product?
Purview.
What's the most underrated Microsoft product?
Purview.
And what's for you the most overused buzzwords?
Oh, this is a good one. What's the one that I hate? It's low-hanging fruit. Ugh, I hate that.
What dish should everyone try when he come to Newcastle?
Newcastle. Oh my gosh. Let's have a think. I don't know, maybe a chip butty, which is chips, as we call them in the UK, or French fries for North American folks, in a sandwich, basically. A chip butty, we call that. I really love that. Or chips and gravy, or peas pudding. Ham and peas pudding is a very northeast Newcastle dish.
It sounds interesting. I have to try it out.
Yeah,
Uh, one security habit everyone should adopt.
zero trust.
Is there a favorite book or podcast you say that should everyone listen to start with security?
A favorite book or podcast? Interesting for security. I mean, I don't for in the podcast side of things. I tend to listen to personal content rather than tech content. Most of what I consume is on YouTube, which I guess you could call a podcast.
Or
So based on that, if I'm recommending a YouTube channel
you-
for security, I would recommend my good friend Andy Malone, who's a
Mm,
Microsoft MVP and a Microsoft trainer. Really great guy. He got me started off on my YouTube journey. So he is who I would recommend. There's lots of good books out there. My my manager at Microsoft, Jose Lazaro, he wrote one recently with another great guy called Marcus Burnap, all about Microsoft Sentinel XDR. So go check that out.
if you meet your 20 years old younger Peter Rising, what will he most excited about your today?
Oh wow, the I think just how far technology has advanced because when I was younger, I always used to get quite frustrated at how slow the pace of technology was, and then the sort of things that I'm seeing today, a lot of it is what I imagined back in those days in the 80s and 90s as I was growing up. And one of my favorite TV shows ever is Star Trek. And back in the 1960s, the original Star Trek, it had FaceTime, it had mobile phones and communicators, it had examples of technology that we could only dream of. And I thought it would be so great if we had these things, and we now have so many of those things. So good.
Yeah, there's one guy, I have forgotten the name. He do a Star Trek channel on Microsoft ecosystem. That's also I don't know, but I have to put
That
it
might
in the
that might be me actually. I have a Star Trek
yeah,
channel as well.
yes, it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Star
That,
Trek
that's
Revisited, it's called.
yeah, 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 yeah. I most so I'm most not listen with video, so I more the audio dude, but it's really really cool. And you have the other channel, right? The normal security channel. You are also
Oh, yeah, yeah, my main channel is the, Peter Rising M365, Microsoft Security and AI related content, and I try and publish content on there on a weekly basis. I don't
yeah.
always succeed, but most weeks I do.
Yeah. So yeah, then my last or outro questions is if people have listened to this episode, what's the one message for today's discussion? What what should it be?
For me, the message would be that, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. There's no barriers to what you can learn. If you want to do something, go and do it. If you want to start a YouTube channel, go and just do it. Don't think about it. Go and try it. See what works for you, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at the results, I would say. So, never let ridiculous little excuses get in the way of starting something. Just get stuck in and do it and try it.
Yeah, then I say that was a fantastic conversion. I love it. I say huge thank you, Peter, for joining me today and sharing all this insights about Microsoft security, peer review, AI governance, zero trust, and the future of AI adoption. I think one key takeaway for me for this episode is simple. I think AI success starts with data governance. And I think organizations have to understand, protect and govern their data, and it will be a help to be successful, especially in the AI future. So thank you for joining me. I really thankful for this discussion.
Oh, me too, my friend. Thank you for inviting me, Mirko. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye bye. Take care.